Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. It's a gorgeous day here in Utah, and I appreciate you taking some time to spend with us today. And it definitely is going to be worth your time. Without a whole lot of talk, I want to dive right into this. So we're actually going to be talking to Mark Trice about client-centric growth. And in particular, really about an engagement formula, obviously, which is quite a bit different. And we'll get into that discussion. So if just to introduce the two of us. So my name is Matt Hicken. I'm the Senior Vice President of Consulting here at Bill Good Marketing. Been in the industry for 23 years and have known and worked with Mark for several years. And it's been a privilege. And then we have Mark Trice on with us. Mark, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all this with us. I really appreciate it. Mark is the founder and lead advisor of Clear Vista Financial down in Texas. Let's dive into this. So first off, if you have yet to attend a webinar ever, you'll know that there is such thing as a chat. If you have any questions, I would definitely want you to participate. This is going to become extremely valuable to you if you have questions and drop them into the chat, or you can use the Q&A option. We will be watching both of those and answering any questions that pop in as they fit into the conversation or as they work. We'll make sure we have time for that. So please use that chat. Now, here's the thing about Bill Good Marketing. We always we host these webinars on a regular basis, and in these webinars, we love to offer different pieces of advice and different materials that will help you overall in your business. And this document is no different. So if you actually stay to the very end of this webinar, you will have a chance to fill out a very brief questionnaire, and then you'll get a copy of these 12 best practices guidebook. And this guidebook does include the best practices, not just, hey, it's a good idea to do X, but it's here's all the ways of actually applying and executing on that idea. So definitely stick around to the very end to be able to get that guidebook. So that being said, I want to save as much of our time as we possibly can to dive in with Mark, but please do stay to the end for that. Fill out the questionnaire, and then one of the things that we'll be talking about throughout is our coaches and our folks here would be happy to sit down with you and evaluate your system and process and help kind of guide where you might need to go to get to your goals and objectives. So that being said, I'm going to stop the share so that you can see us and we're not just two little people in the corner. Mark, one of the first questions we always get when we bring an advisor onto a webinar is, well, I gotta understand that advisor. I want to know more about them. I want to understand, like, how is my business different? How is it the same? So why don't we start there with a little bit about where you were when you came into the industry, kind of how you set up your business now and what it is that you do.
Well, I came into the business about 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago. And at the time, I was chief marketing officer for some large professional services firms. And so I thought, Matt, that I was the big deal. I knew exactly what to do. This was just a different industry. I was going to apply all the same things that I knew how to do in accounting and the legal world and things. And how hard could it be? And I developed what I thought was a unique model for investment management and things like that. But I was quickly shown how I had to do things differently if I was going to survive. And one of the things when I got into the business, I passed all my exams in the fall of 2008. Maybe no one remembers that time, but it was probably the worst time to become a financial advisor.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of just stupid, kind of running forward into the wall and not really realizing what I was going into. But it really turned out to be very fortuitous and a great timing to enter the business because people were hungry for a different approach and a different service model. And they were tired of their advisor, my personal advisor included, saying, don't worry, it'll come back. Don't change anything. And we all have clients now that, they exited the market forever on March the 9th, 2009, which was the absolute bottom of the S&P 500.
Yeah.
And so taking our approach and trying to do things differently really enabled us to kind of stand out. But hey, it was really hard going early on. I started from zero, had no clients, no one passed me a book. And so it was hard. And you're trying to figure your way along the way. And I go back and and this is, I wish I had hired Bill Good Marketing back even earlier than I did. Uh, but I remember a friend tell me, who was encouraging me to go ahead and take that leap to get in and become a financial advisor and build a business around that. And he said, hire Bill Good Marketing and do whatever they tell you to do. It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been doing marketing for a long time. I know what's going on.
Mhm.
But so I came from that background where I had a large staff, millions of dollars of spending budget and things, and all to have to do it on my own. So that's kind of where I came from. And in addition, just learning to how to be a good advisor, I had to also attract clients and convince them that I could be a good advisor. And so early years were really slow going, but there was a corner that was turned. And it really was when I started using Bill Good Marketing.
Yeah. See, and that's one of the interesting things I think about this industry is you have to be kind of an expert in so many different things. I
Yeah,
mean, just in your story, I mean, you knew marketing, but then you also have to be a good business manager. You have to be an investment manager. You have to know how to plan. You have to be an economist. You have to be almost a psychologist or behavior management with your clients. And so there's a lot to kind of absorb and bring in. And that is kind of why Bill Good put together this system back in the 70s and started working on, okay, well, what are people doing in each of these areas that works best, and then how can we put it into a system and a process for handling it. And you've applied a lot of that system. And what I absolutely love, and what I love learning about, is how advisors have taken that system and those processes and then customized it to their area, their brand, and their ability to flow through. So just a couple of questions I want to talk, and I probably should have gotten a picture of the team, but let's talk about your team, right? Because
yeah,
right now you are surrounded by a great group of people, and they help in all these aspects, but it wasn't always that way. So you've built a team. So why don't we talk about who's there, and then what do you look for when you're looking for a new team member?
sure. I mean, when we're looking for a new team member, we want someone that has that similar. Maybe they haven't tapped into it yet, but they have that entrepreneurial spirit,
Mm,
and they're a go getter. They're not afraid to take a risk, but more importantly, they're good with people. They can interact with people, and they can understand and read people very easily. When we started out, just myself, I tried to convince my wife to come help out with a few things, and our marriage was more important than the business
mhm.
in that situation.
Yeah,
Maybe you've tried that as well, because
yeah,
but is when we started building a team, and Bill Good has a process for building that team. But when we started building the team, that's when we started to see structure that allowed us to scale.
yeah.
And, today we have a business development executive. We have an advisor that handles all our financial planning and some investment management things. I've got an assistant, two assistants really. One is through the office assistance program through Cambridge, and then one local assistant that's really my executive assistant. And so we built those people around there, and we've got two really kind of retiring advisors. We purchased a couple of practices. We kept them on just as a business development resource in the first couple of years, but they'll be retiring here soon. But it really is that core team of 4 or 5 people there that we talked about there that built around. But I started with I tried interns. They were great when they showed up, and it just, having a permanent team member really began to
Oh,
help flush things out, that we started actually recording interactions with clients, because if you don't write it down and record it somewhere, it didn't happen.
yes.
And if you've ever been through a complaint or some type of compliance issue, you want to make sure you have all that stuff. And I think it's one of the good things about the Bill Gates system is it is a computer based marketing system that combines a number of different features and stuff. And I've evolved over the years as far as what I'm going to use and when I use that, but it really is a complete system to help you run your practice and also manage all the marketing aspects of the business.
Well, totally, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about it too. And so to me, there are five pillars, right, of this system and of best practices, and it does start in that CRM based aspect. And back in 2008, when I was working in North Carolina, that saved us too, because I think it was February of 2009. We got the client calling and saying sell everything, and which was a good indicator. And of course, we logged all the notes and everything, so it was easy to when she came back and said, "Hey, I told you to sell everything," we said, "Yes, you did," through voicemail and emails, which we couldn't accept. And we have all these calls of trying to get back to you. And so we documented all of that and handed that to the attorney, and yeah, no case. So it does save you. So CRM based, but there's definitely a lot of best practices there. Then it's client marketing, making sure that our
Mhm.
communications with our clients are dead on. And there's two sides to that we'll be talking about today. Then it's prospecting, which is making sure that you have multiple channels out there that are operating and generating new leads, and we may touch on that too. And then that it is also a office management system. So to
Mhm.
your point of helping with hiring practices, job descriptions, compensation formulas, and making sure that everything is operating on the team appropriately. And then finally, one of the things that we added in the last several years was branding as one of the key columns, because it used to be a part of all of the others, but we decided no, it's its own thing, because there's a lot of work involved with that. So those are the five pillars that the system encompasses, and we have materials and coaching and everything you would need to apply all five of those pillars. But so today we're going to focus in on the client communication factor. Because I think, while you have things going in every single one of these pillars and a lot of good stuff happening, I think with the client communication and generating the amount of referrals that you did in 2023 is what we want to share and what we want to have people understand. So, and I want to kind of couch our discussion into the two different sections of client communication. There's client retention, and
Yep.
then there's client engagement. Retention keeps people happy and around. Engagement gets them to actually refer. So I think today what we're going to talk about is some of those aspects that have helped you to get clients to refer business to you. And I think the very first thing to kind of talk through is we do recommend, just like every advisor knows, you have to meet with your clients and go over your investment philosophy. You have to talk through what it is that you provide for your client, and then help them understand how they are moving forward. Right. So, as
Mhm.
far as all that goes, how often do you meet with your clients, and what would you say you do in those meetings?
Okay. So, regulatory requirements say we have to meet with the client at least once a year. Most of our business is advisory business, so we're charging a fee for that service. We do financial planning, investment management, some insurance planning, and tax planning, and things like that. But most of our business is that traditional AUM model, charge a fee, and we do that. So we have to meet with them once a year. We let the client dictate that somewhat of how frequently they want to visit and meet. Some want to meet every quarter. We really only allow that to our platinum level clients
Okay.
because there is a certain level of service expectation that you have to fulfill, and we can't do that as you're scaling it as well as fast as we've been. And so we usually typically are going to meet with them, a platinum client, probably twice a year.
Okay.
And in that, we try to do that in every half of the year that we're meeting with people. We have very specific objectives that we're trying to talk about. So towards the end of the year, we're having our fall meeting with our client. We're probably going to be talking about RMDs and qualified charitable distributions and giving and things of those nature, and also of tax planning throughout the rest of that year and preparing for next year. So we have specific things and topics that we're going to make sure we cover with every meeting. And really, the investment performance aspect of that meeting is the bottom of our agenda because it's really about making sure that we're plugged into the clients' lives, making sure we understand that they're where their goals are and where they're wanting to go. And the investment performance is important, but I've discovered over the years it's not that important. It's
Yeah.
about the value that you're delivering beyond investment management because it's hard, really hard in our industry to differentiate the investment management piece.
Yeah.
Really difficult because how do you explain what I'm doing versus what the guy that sits behind him at church that works for Ever Jones? What's he doing differently in investment management? Now we know,
Yeah.
but communicating that to the client is a lot more difficult. And so we're focused on providing the value and the experience that the client wants to have. And that keeps our retention very high. We keep our average client has stayed around for well over 8 years, 9 years, somewhere in there, if they're the ones that have started with us from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's really important. So we try to meet twice a year with our platinum clients. Other clients might just be a phone call or Zoom, depending on what level they're at. And we
Mhm.
have criteria that we've set in place, and this is the service model you get for these types of things. This is really a good way to evaluate your client base and the book of business that you have. Is yes, you can look at them in terms of revenue, right? That's the easiest. We can break it out, and if you're a Cambridge advisor, well, you are if you're listening today. And there's things in Click that you can run a report and show every household, every client, and what you're making on them. That's important
Mhm.
because you want to make sure you're profitable.
Yeah.
But also, too, some of the most important aspects are: do you like to work with them?
Yes.
How
Yeah.
much time do you spend on them? We've had wonderful $3 million clients, and we've had $3 million clients that we've had to fire because they just were not fun to work with. And
Mhm.
you know, I'm in this business because I want to help people. I want to be able to help empower people through their financial life. And if they're not fun to work with, we want to encourage them to go somewhere else. And we've actually got a policy in place where we talk about it. If we've got problem clients, we'll ask them to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's all about the value you're conveying, and the system, the Bill Good marketing system allows us to automate a lot of that, and to make sure that we're actually executing and fulfilling on that plan. Because it's so easy, especially as you grow. Oh my goodness, it's been 2 years since I met with Mrs. Smith, and you just can't let that happen. We try to make sure that we're contacting every client once a quarter. That's our 90-day no contact thing. It's not something I made up. It's in the Bill Good system. But we're making sure that we're touching base with that client in some meaningful way,
Mhm.
not just to call them up and say, "Hey, your balances are this." It's just to say, follow up with them personally to know what's going on in their life. Because believe it or not, you start caring about your clients and you start caring about what's going on in their life, they'll give you good referrals. They'll give you additional assets and things of that nature. And you demonstrate that you really care.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And honestly, I feel like you've kind of hit the nail on the head in the difference between retention and engagement, right? And
Yeah.
that, and it does come down to, one of the things I've been thinking about lately is just the AI, right? And how we can use it as a tool and all those different aspects. But then I
I'm going to
think,
get an avatar sometime, but
that'd
it's
be awesome.
I know, but it would take all the personal touch out of it.
Oh,
And
100%. And that's the difference, right? Is AI is a tool. And so if you're an investment advisor that all you're doing is providing a thing, right? Just a investment advice, or an investment allocation, then well, you're a tool, right? Because there's there's all these tools online that do that. I mean, you
yeah,
and I
and I
know the
think
difference between your allocation and theirs, but
I'm getting off, what you probably asking the question for, but I think as advisors, we're guilty of trying to automate everything
yes,
as best we can. There's so many different tools out there you can do to do this or that, and we tend to rely on that automation, and we often take the personal touch out of it when we do that. I
yeah,
I, I use a lot of automation, but I want to make sure that we're touching our clients at least once a quarter in some meaningful way, beyond just sending them a letter or whatever, but which we do, but just really to check in and touch base because we need to know
yeah.
what's going on.
Well, and I think that's the key piece, right? Is you're putting in automation to ensure that you then are doing the personal thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that actually kind of falls into, so we did get a question about your platinum clients, and I love this question because it's going to allow us to dive deeper into it, that you kind of touched on a little bit, but that is it. What assets under management does a platinum client need to have?
Uh,
Because it's not just assets, but why don't you describe it?
well, it's kind of like a moving dial. Sometimes we feel because we've got a platinum client that has maybe $300,000 of assets,
Mm,
but she is a joy to work with. and she tells everyone about us and how happy she is with us. You
Yeah.
bet we're going to give her the platinum level service. But, we as all of us as advisors have grown, when we first start out in your zeros, like, okay, you have a pulse, good. You're a qualified candidate to work with us.
Yeah. Right.
And as you grow through your career and grow your business, you realize it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have taken that one on. They're going to be a pain.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we typically are looking for a minimums of $500,000 to make that. But a platinum client, if I'm just basing it on assets only, it's $1 million plus type client. But like I said, we've had some great $3 and $4 million clients that we fired because they were not a joy to work with.
Yeah.
So it's not a one size fits all. It's all those different aspects. And this is some of the coaching that I received from Bill Good Marketing about how to evaluate my book of business so that I can determine what's really important. Because I'm done with trying to stress over clients. I'm done with trying to stress over the asset management side of things and worrying about what clients are going to think. That doesn't make our business fun.
Mhm.
What's fun about our business is being able to help people and see them reach their goals, and you were a part of that process, and that's what's fun. So
Totally.
there's no number, Matt. I'm sorry to get around the question there a little bit, but there's no number. It's just a question of the different variables that we use to evaluate whether that's a platinum or a gold or silver.
Yeah, and to your point, so we do have Bill Good Marketing. We have a scoring system. We have Excel spreadsheets that can help you go through that scoring system that will actually kind of line everything up for you, and that is available to those that are using the system. Again, I would say stay to the end, answer those few questions. Not only do you get that 12 best practices guidebook, but then you'll also have the chance to put down that yes, I want to talk to a consultant, and that if this is something that you're looking to do of grading your clients not just by assets, which is what most people do, but by actually accomplishing exactly like Mark's talking about, then they can talk you through all that. So do stay to the end to get that. So as far as in those meetings, one of the things that I think is important that you do is promoting referrals, but really kind of helping clients along in that understanding their advocacy. So let's talk about promoting referrals with your clients. How do you go about doing that? How do you help the clients see who to introduce to you?
Yeah, and we first of all, we never ask for referrals. Never, ever, ever, ever ask for a referral. That is the most salesy thing that you can do. And if those of you that grew up in the insurance side of things, you were trained to do that. You sold a policy, you're trained to ask for referrals. Don't do that. You want to create an environment where you make it possible for people to refer you. Like the client that I talked about, doesn't have a lot of assets, relatively speaking, to our larger clients, but is a great referral source. And we just make it known that we're open to referrals, but it's ideally best way to do that, I think, Matt, is to say, you know what, we have a blast working with you, and we are looking for clients that are just like you. And that's an easy way to say,
Mhm.
hey, all your friends, because there's not a lot of $1 million plus clients that are hanging out with people that have no money. It's
Yeah.
possible, but
Oh,
that's the way it is. So we just want to promote referrals. We don't want to ask for referrals. We want to create an environment where people know that we're looking for people like them to work with as well. And that's worked time and time again for
yeah.
promoting those referrals. I've never asked for a referral because it's the most awkward thing ever. It's like, okay, I just signed up to work with you, and now you want me to produce 10 people that might be interested in this insurance policy as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. You want to
Yeah.
be a slick salesperson, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
But if you want to be the person that is a great person to refer people to clients talk about, you just create the environment to promote that. And we put in our taglines for our emails and things like that. We appreciate referrals and things like that. We don't want to ask for them, but generally we'll talk about them as a client, how much we like to work with them, and we want to work with people just like them.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Very soft sell, not nothing pushy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, exactly. I love that. So in a former life, I was one of those obnoxious people selling timeshares, and that was you don't get off the phone
Oh,
unless you
I
ask
didn't
for
know that
names.
about you, Matt. That's
I'm
that's a
sorry for
whole other
sharing that now.
dimension.
This is
That's a whole nother
long,
dimension about
long
it.
ago. But that is the same thing as you ask for names. You got to get names from everybody before you get off the phone, and you definitely do not want to be associated with that same kind of a tactic. So I agree with you there. So, and I love the way you promote it because it helps the client understand who you're looking for, but it also helps the client understand that they are needed, right? We want them and more of them because we like them, and that's a really great process and way of doing it. So one of the other things you do, I want to make sure we get through all of these things. Well,
Yeah.
I have to address this question real quick because it says, "Is Mark Trice Bill Good's long lost son?"
Yeah, I saw it. No, I'm not.
No.
Bill has a daughter.
I, I'm sure. I'm sure Bill Good would absolutely love it because Mark is a great person and a great man, and I think anybody would love to take credit. But Mark has wonderful parents in elsewhere, and we only met Mark a little while ago. So, uh,
Yeah, there's
so
no Bill Good DNA in my bloodstream, right?
no. So let's talk about educating clients because this one of the
Yeah.
other big pieces to the client engagement formula is, and it's actually one of the things out there that if you read the surveys, which we do all the time with high net worth investors and ultra high net worth investors, what are the things they want from an advisor? And it's always in the top five. They want education. I know they sometimes tell you, oh, no, I don't want to know how the pudding's made, but they want education. They want to have information given to them from their advisor. And you've done a phenomenal job of putting together multiple ways of providing education to your clients. So why don't we talk through what it is you're doing to provide education and how that's working?
Well, we're doing multiple channels, and we expanded a lot of those during the COVID era as well. So we're sending out regular email communication. A lot of that is content that is developed by Bill Good Marketing. Bill Good Marketing has some of the best content out there for hand holding and educational needs as well. Just to kind of let clients know what's going on. When I started, I would write all those letters, and it just takes up a lot of time. And the funny thing is, as Matt and I were waiting for the program to start here, is all the things that I used to do, I don't do anymore. I outsource them. I just drive the strategy. And we still are in control of content. We're still in control of what gets sent out where. But there are people that are better than me at developing social media posts, at developing hand holding letters, and they can do it much faster. So we do letters and communication, social media. We also have a monthly market update, which you can find on our YouTube channel. That we do. It's just a half hour to 45-minute type thing that we invite clients and prospects to attend, and then we turn around and send it a week or two later after we've had it approved from compliance. That's my compliance plug. After we've had it approved by compliance, and we send it back out to clients and let them listen to it. We have a really good open rate for those videos there with that. We also do live educational events. We do them via webinar, and we love to have them in person. That really couldn't happen during COVID, but now people are wanting to do that. So we're having educational events, and it could be, I'm going back a few years. This is pre-COVID. So we have an event to update clients on the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. How does that impact them? And we bring them in for lunch.
Mhm.
So we're doing a whole host of different channels and approaches to keep the clients educated. Because what you realize is, and you can track their email open rates and stuff. You can track the people that are watching your videos, but they all respond to different ways. You can ask your client, "Hey, how do you prefer to be communicated?" But still, a lot of people don't open the emails.
Mhm.
But we can track that. I'll give a quick anecdote. And this is more of a prospecting thing, but it's all about client education.
Mhm.
So one of the things, the systems that we adopted with Bill Good Marketing is to send out regular snail mail communication. Now this is really critical because a lot of people get a lot of junk mail.
Mhm.
They also get a lot of junk email, more so junk mail than anything. But I can't tell you the number of times that we've had a prospect that we've been talking to off and on for the years, but we put them in our drip marketing system that was automated through the Bill Good system, and we just simply sent them letters, and they could be great hand-holding letters. They're great holiday letters that are sent out, and those are the ones that when they come in finally for the appointment, they bring all the stack of their statements and things, and on the very top of the stack is the last letter that I sent them.
Mhm.
Okay. that continual dripping in at their educational, whatever it may be, is the constant reminder that, hey, Clear Vista Financial is here. We're here to help you. And gosh, you're not calling me every 10 seconds, want me to buy some mutual funds or an insurance policy. So
Yeah.
it works. But
Yeah.
it's a system. It's nothing magical.
Mhm.
I mean, I said I knew what I needed to do when I came into this business, and what I found was I had no time to do it all.
Yeah.
I needed a system, and this is what the Bill Good Marketing System does.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. And to me, that was the key too. When I was working in North Carolina, is just somebody to handle it, because you know what to do. Just none of these things, the engagement stuff that we're talking about today, is going to be new to anybody on this
Right.
call. You've all
Yep.
heard, yes, meet with your clients, provide extra value, talk with them regularly to be in front of them, organize them, send them messages, do webinars. It's all stuff that we all know, but it's a matter of organizing it and putting it all together into a process, right? And a
And
system.
to do it systematically over time. I think that's
Yes.
one of the key things that as we as advisors, we get frustrated quickly that, oh, that thing didn't work or that letter didn't generate 10 new clients. You have to continually do it. I mean, the example that I gave you there, Matt, we had someone that we hadn't talked to in 6 years. And they just showed up out of the blue in 6 years, had the letter on top of the thing. This happened more than once.
Mhm.
Had the letter on top of their stack, and they said, "I want this." We haven't even done a triage. We hadn't done an intake to see what their situation was, but they had already decided they wanted this. Now, we, of course, we take a step back and do all those things,
Yeah.
but because we had been in constant communication with them over the years, they'd already made up their mind. It was just a question of what was the triggering event where they decided that they needed a financial advisor.
Well, definitely. Well, just as a reminder, if anybody has any questions, please drop them into the chat, and we'd be happy to cover them. There was a question that came in: is this being recorded? Yes, and you'll actually everybody that registered for this will get a link to the recording, and it'll also be up on our website to access later. So again, I want to keep moving through these formulas, even though it's nothing new. They're all important, and these are the critical engagement pieces that are driving the referral growth and all that. So we're going to educate clients, and then the next step is to make them feel special by doing etiquette beyond the expected. And this is one of those things that you do. But and I think everybody knows to do it. But how do you make it into a system? How do you make sure that you're not the one having to send the card and do all those things? How do
Sure,
you do it,
sure.
Mark?
Well, I mean, y'all have got great content for birthday letters. And when I read some of the ones that are going to 90-year-olds, it's like, this is kind of hokey, but they love it because it brings them back to an era of their childhood or young adult life that brings
Yeah.
them back. The content there, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, y'all have got a Series 24 licensed person there. Is that correct? Or
We
am I
do
wrong on
review
that?
it all. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. My first coach, and then I hopefully get to talk about coaching,
Mhm.
was Matt Bailey, who's the head writer there at Bill Good Marketing now. And so I have the pleasure sometimes he'll ask me an economics question or something like that, or what's going on. But they are so good about writing content that's relevant, and that includes their birthday letters. That's part of the etiquette process. But there are so many different things that are going on in your client's life. It could be the birth of a grandchild. It could be the death of their dog. We've used the Rainbow Bridge letter, Matt, a couple of times with clients, and we get a teary phone message left on our voicemail for how wonderful that is. It's about engaging your client in different aspects of their life. It's not sending them, a birthday card, because we do that. We send all our clients birthday cookies if they're above a certain service level, and do a number of different things. We host retirement parties and things like that, but it's all about the etiquette side of your training that you would receive with the Bill Good Marketing System. And once again, we all know that we should probably send a birthday card, or we should probably call our client. The question is, are we able to execute on it? And I made the determination now well over 10 years ago that I needed someone to help me with that. I needed someone to coach me in these things and hold me accountable for doing the things that I said I knew I needed to do, but getting them done. And the etiquette part of the system really allows us to automate to have the content. We know what's going to be coming out. We can, but once again, it's like you got to document everything.
Mhm.
If somebody dies, you know they're going to get the survivor's estate planning guide.
Mhm.
Or if they lose a dog, they know that they're going to get the Rainbow Bridge letter there. I hope I'm not butchering the name of that one, Matt. But it's the point is you're trying to integrate yourself in the client's life. So you're just as important as a relative. Okay, you're the financial advisor, but you're much more than a financial advisor. And doing these etiquette type things of being engaged with that client's life enables you to really further entrench that relationship. It's really hard to fire an advisor that's doing mediocre in investment management, but they're providing value and service beyond anybody else.
Oh, totally.
And
100%.
that's not me. I'm still working on this.
Yeah.
But it's all that's what we're striving for, is trying to provide an experience for
Mhm.
that client.
Yeah, and I love that term, and because that is what everybody I think is trying to establish is a great client experience. And one of the things that you've done in that etiquette side that I want to make sure that we highlight is that your team is empowered also to be gathering that information. That it's not just, hey, yeah, Mark heard of something, or when somebody happens to mention it to you, but if anybody on your team is talking to a client and they mention something going on or something happening in their life, or they're sick, or they're going on a trip for their wedding anniversary, that information gets logged
All
and
that gets in
on
there,
there.
yeah, because because we first and foremost want every member of our team to care
Mhm.
about what's going on. And so, my executive assistant, she's answering the phone and I hear her talking. I have no clue who she's talking about because she's talking about stuff they're doing next week, or they're getting ready for their grandchild's graduation this week.
Mhm.
And we're all that gets into the system. Those are things that are recorded because we want to talk about those experiences later on. How
Yeah.
was that cruise? What would you recommend it? So
Mhm.
we share that with other clients and things. So every little bit of information we can gather, we're going to put it in there. We know what their favorite soft drink is. We know what their favorite adult beverage is if we can gather that up. But everything in there allows us to every little bit of information we can get allows us to create a more positive client experience.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's so critical that you have if you're using your CRM or have a CRM, use it for that reason. Obviously we have our CRM, but whatever it is that you use, you have to log that information and then have it in a place where you can easily access it later to then actually, yes, you're
Because
coming into a meeting. I know what your
I don't
favorite smoothie is.
remember.
Oh yeah,
We have a lot of clients. I don't remember what was different from one to the other. I have to review those notes. I have to review their preferences so that I know going in, I'm prepared for before going into a meeting.
perfect. So I want to come to move into. We've talked a little bit about this earlier, but one of the keys that I feel like is absolutely critical that we do with our existing clients, and it's something that I think every advisor has had some point in time in their career where they've been, it's almost like the knife to the heart because the client took their business somewhere else because they didn't realize the advisor did that service. So the critical piece of the retention and engagement formula is that you educate your clients on everything you do and are capable of doing
Oh, that's a big
for
one. Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the ways that you make sure that we cover that for your existing clients?
Well, number one, on those annual reviews or semi-annual reviews, depending on those things, we have an agenda that we're going through. And I think I mentioned that earlier, but our practice has really evolved over the years from just focusing on asset gathering and asset management to more sophisticated financial planning. And we're really focused on a number of aspects beyond the investment stuff. And that's learning and trying to help them minimize taxes. We're not CPAs, we're not tax preparers, but we're going to communicate with their CPA about things that they should be doing. We love getting into arguments with CPAs because they're focused on one thing, we're focused on another.
Mhm.
So y'all want to check that out. We're you're having clear sunny skies. We're in the middle of a thunderstorm. So okay.
Yeah, hopefully everybody's
Jesse
safe.
says we're okay. And what plus we're in the inside of the bunker in our office, so we'll be fine if it's a tornado. Anyway, did I answer the question, Matt? I'm sorry. I got distracted there for a second.
No, no worries at all. I totally understand. So I do want to talk about, because you did partly. But I want to talk about how you serve, because this is actually one of the questions that we got. But
Uh-huh.
what do you do as far as profiling your clients? Do you have profiles? And then do you send out questionnaires to your clients to answer so that you gather in the data of things they're looking for so that you can then in turn provide those services?
Early on, we just kind of did it kind of casually.
Mm.
Um, but you know how it is when you're running a meeting, you forget to ask what kind of soft drink they like, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So we use you can use Gorilla 5, which is the Bill Good system. You can do things like Redtail, Wealthbox. There's lots of systems there to do things. FP, Precise FP is another one that you can send out questionnaires to clients. It's
Mhm.
not so much the software; it's making sure that you actually execute on that process.
Yes.
We have a profile. We want to know all these different things about this client. And it's just not, I'm using inside lingo in Cambridge, Matt, I apologize, but it's not the NAF form, right?
Mhm.
It's that's important, but we want to know those things. So we just have built basically a workflow in our CRM system to capture those things. And we get that information over the first few meetings or so. We try to capture that and not make it seem like it's a process, but or we're being deliberate about it, but we make sure that one of our team members is filling in those blanks over time, and we eventually get a good profile that we've built out, so we understand some of their things. So, whenever we want to host a client event that's at the golf course, we know everybody that plays golf.
Mhm.
If it's something people like cooking, we're going to do an event for that. We know who likes that. And it's just getting to know your client more so than just the typical financial things about it. So we do have a process that we use. There's not a magic system. You can create these workflows in any CRM system that you're using. And I think the BillGut system does that really well. But I know a lot of people that use Redtail and things like that as well for those type of gathering that data. But you can use systems that'll automate that,
Mhm.
but it seems a little bit salesy to me to be asking all these questions when you just met them. So we try to
Oh
gather it
yeah.
over time. So,
Yeah, and that's honestly how we would recommend it too, is as far as the coaching side of this, which you've mentioned before, is that so we have a profile questionnaire to kind of come into that part of the question. It's called Getting to Know You, and it's a very lengthy questionnaire. To your point, Mark, I would never go through a questionnaire like that with a client in a single sitting. But it's a matter of picking, 4 or 5 questions. And then as you're going through, so Mark talked earlier about calling clients once every 90 days, and it is about going through, and as you're making those calls, asking 5 questions off your profile questionnaire list and
mhm.
just getting the information there, logging it, and so that everybody on the team knows, hey, we have the answer to these 5 questions now. And then the next time we call, it's, hey, let's ask the next five, and,
Yeah,
and then
I'm
over
I'm
time
trying
we
to
get
learn
all.
something. Our team is trying to learn something new about that client every time we talk to them.
Perfect.
And it's and we got the dashboard there, so we know, okay, we don't know what they do for a hobby.
Mhm.
And so there's little things there that our team is trained to chat them up and just talk about their life, and you find that the financial conversation's very short.
Oh, definitely. Well, so and Chris pointed out, so let's get back into the broader part of this question, right? So
Mhm.
we're gathering in all this information about the client, and then how are we going about educating the client on how we can provide those services? Or I want to add a caveat to this too. It's how do we add other professionals that, I mean, to your point, you're not tax professionals. How do we
No.
then refer them and make sure that they do have somebody to take care of that?
Sure. Because we all, as advisors, we get questions like, "Hey, do you know anybody that can prepare my taxes?" Right? This is all part of our strategic referral network, strategic partnership group, if you will, where we are basically promoting referrals amongst other professional service providers. So think about your attorneys, your real estate people, your CPAs, and the list is long of different industries that may interact with your ideal client. And so we're constantly talking to those folks so that we have a network of people that we trust that we can provide those things. And we want to make sure that they're going to be doing the things that we want them to do.
Mhm.
And just as a quick anecdote, it's working with the CPAs. They're focused on reducing the client's taxes this year and in the past. When you're doing tax planning, you're trying to reduce the client's potential taxes in the future. And
Mhm.
so we have to let them know this is what we're doing, why we're doing it, and we hope you do that. But as far as educating, I know that's a huge thing to tackle.
Mhm.
We just make sure that our content that we're presenting, whether it be through webinars or live events, are covering a variety of different topics throughout the year. And
Mhm.
we never really repeat those topics very frequently, except for Social Security. We're known as experts in Social Security, even though we're not experts, but we just know a lot about it. So
Mhm.
we do a lot of events around Social Security. It's our main prospecting pipeline as far as live events. And so people know that we're experts in this. We get calls from people that are never going to be clients, but they heard that we knew a lot about Social Security.
Mhm.
So we're constantly promoting those things. And the client can see, because of the questions that we're asking in our annual reviews or semi-annual reviews, we're talking about topics that are fairly complex and
Mhm.
that they've probably never thought about it. That's the easiest way to educate people about what we know,
Mhm.
is to ask them questions about themselves so that they're aware that, a lot of people haven't thought about it, right? What's long-term care,
Yeah.
right? Everybody needs to have that conversation. Every advisor needs to have that conversation with every client if they're above a certain age. Well, they didn't, a lot of times clients are like, "Oh, I didn't know you did that." Well, let's talk about it.
Mhm.
So it's making sure that you're asking the right questions. And those are the questions that I got from the coaching.
Mm.
I got the training to say, "Hey, you need to be asking these things." And that helped me develop a process, because I have a I don't want to call it template, but I have a template for how I run every initial intro meeting. We have
Mhm.
templates for how we run every client review meeting. We're making sure that reinforcing these things about trying to educate people about what we do. It's
Mhm.
not trying to respond and say, "Oh yeah, we do that. Yeah, we do that." It's about making sure, as an advisor, I want to be their financial quarterback.
Yes.
Okay. There's a lot of members of the team. Okay. But I want to be their financial quarterback so that I can call the plays, that I can, call an audible at the line of scrimmage and help them navigate different stages in life. But it's all about making sure that you're covering these topics. A lot of people are afraid. A lot of advisors that I know are afraid to talk about a particular topic. Don't be afraid.
Mhm.
Just make sure that you notate that that client is interested in, socially responsible investments or biblically responsible investments. You may
Mhm.
not know a lick about biblically responsible investments, but there's lots of resources out there, but that's an interest of your clients. You don't have to be the expert in everything. You just need to make sure that you're having the conversations with your clients about the things that are important to them. So that's really the gist of educating about what we do.
Mhm.
It's putting on events and webinars, educational things, educating them through some of the Bill Good content, but also making sure that we have very robust review meetings so that we are covering many different aspects about their life. That's why we divide the list up in parts of the year, because there's no way we can cover it all in an hour, hour and a half meeting.
Yeah.
We have to be deliberate about that we're talking about these topics with our clients.
Yeah. No, and I love how you put all that, because that is exactly how everybody should be setting up their identity. Is you talk about everything, and then you either have somebody that you can refer it to, or you do it yourself. But if you're the person that's bringing it to their attention in every case, of course, when they have that question, they're going to come back to you, right? So I think that is perfectly exactly way to describe that. So I want to make sure we cover one last question that
Yeah.
you and I talked about before, and and that is just an overall how you've set up your digital presence, because it actually has helped, not only on the client referral side and sending people to you in multiple different levels of that, but it also helps keep you out there in the community, and be recognized as the expert that you are. So, what all do you have out there as your digital branding strategy, and then talk about how it's working?
We've done and do a number of different things, all the way from have our own radio show to, doing social media all the time. We take advantage of every social media platform that Cambridge allows us to take advantage of. So we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Twitter. We do have an approved YouTube channel where we put a lot of our monthly market updates. We do a lot of our podcasts there. We have a biweekly podcast. We've been taking a little break because we had a staff member that went on to better things. And but we do all those things to reinforce the brand. Now, as a financial advisor, if you are not on LinkedIn, you're missing out, because every professional that wants to come talk to you is going to check out your LinkedIn profile. And if
Mhm.
you're not there, or if you don't have a website, it's not to try to sell them something, folks. It's just basically to make you somewhat legitimate that you are in business and in fact you are a licensed financial advisor. And so, but you, if you don't have that presence there, you need to make sure that you're doing that.
Mhm.
We send regular updates. We actually this year we contracted with Bill Good Marketing to use their presence platform. We had a full time staff member that was here, and we found that we could be much more effective if we're talking about the right things. And Bill Good knows what to talk about with our clients and potential clients. And so we use the presence platform with Bill Good Marketing. It's something new we're doing. We're happy with it so far. But there's certain things that, as I said earlier, there's certain things that you don't need to do. You
Mhm.
need to outsource those things. And that's a decision we've made to help streamline our business so that we're focused and able to allow more time dealing with things that are going to bring you a lot of value to clients. And social media presence is important, but
Mhm.
it's more about being visible in the community.
Yeah. I think Bill Good puts it that you have to be found and look good. And you've done a phenomenal job with that. If people were to look for you in Clear Vista Financial, they'd find you, and you look good, right? And it sets up the right brand. So, one last question. This should be a quick answer. Does your
Yeah.
firm, I would assume, deal or work with Medicare Advantage and supplement planning?
We don't sell it. There's a lot of potential conflicts with their securities license and easy ways to trip up. But those people, we have several people in our strategic referral network, our partnership network, that we send to, and they take care of us. And our partnership network is really good because they'll talk to them about some long-term care. It's like, well, you should go back and talk to Mark and his guys and his team about long-term care. But we know enough about those subjects to be part of our financial planning process, but we outsource them to somebody else. Love to have someone on staff that does that full time, but right now we bring in the right team member that's on the outside to handle that problem.
Good. All right. So, again, if you have any questions, we've got a few minutes left. Drop them in there. But I do want to kind of wrap up a little bit and just again remind these are the key engagement pieces that Mark has put into place. That if you don't currently have a system and a process to make sure that they're happening and in the way that Mark has described in this call, then you need to get started on it now. And obviously we've put it together. You can use our system, or you can try to put it together yourself, or do that, but that it has to be in place. And that is, first off, you have to make sure that you're meeting with your clients and educating them on everything that needs to be going on a regular basis, and then promoting referrals with them. Next, you need to make sure that you are educating your clients and providing that opportunity for education in multiple platforms so that they can get that education in whatever media is best for them. Next, you need to make sure that your clients feel special. They're wanted, they're needed, they're part of the family. So provide that etiquette beyond the expected. And then the next piece is make sure that clients understand everything that you do for them now, and then everything that you can do for them. And Mark described that perfectly. So, and then finally is just making sure that you're proactively reaching out to your clients on a regular basis. And that's what Mark talked about with this 90-day no contact call. It's not just a, hey, it's been a while since we've talked to you. Are you still alive? It's a, hey, let's talk. Let's get to know you better and gather one more bits of new information from you. And so those are our critical pieces of information. And then overall, have a digital presence that allows you to be found and look good. So those are the key pieces here. And we did get a question: who on your team, Mark, makes the calls every 90 days? Is that all you?
No, it's anybody on our team can make those 90-day calls, and we
Perfect.
divide up the list. I'm going to make sure that I call a certain number. One of our other advisors will make some of them. Our executive assistant will make some. So we spread those around. So in reality, someone on our team is doing a 90-day no call. It not all me,
Mhm.
because I just can't do it all. And I hope this is one of the things that you take away from this webinar today is that you should be doing a lot of these things, and you may be wondering, can I do it myself? And I'm going to tell you the answer is no, you can't. I thought I could, And there's a lot of great advisors that seem to do everything, but they don't have much of a life. And this really, a system in place to help you manage all these things really helps you get your life in balance, and it allows you to give that balance that makes it you to be able to do the things that are exciting to you in your practice and your business. And a system like this really helps.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. So another question: does Cambridge compliance play well with Bill Good content, as an automatic prior review? Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Bill Good works with Cambridge to make sure that they're doing everything in compliance. There are certain types of letters that come out, and you can when you log into the system, it says Cambridge approved or
Mhm.
Cambridge version, because
Mhm.
Cambridge has a certain disclosure, or
Mhm.
they don't like to say certain words, and they know these things. When we submit things for review inside of Cambridge, we usually get a response within 24 hours. In some cases, it's the same day. They know that a lot of the handholding letters that Bill Good Marketing writes for.
Uh-oh. We may have finally had the storms catch up to us. Make sure he's okay. There's Mark.
Okay,
We lost
I'm
power.
back, Matt.
You okay?
You're sitting in a dark room. That's why you cannot. Oh, here comes the lights back on.
Oh,
I
good.
warned you
Yes, you did.
that
You,
this was
you
going to
called it was
happen.
going to happen. Yeah.
I called it, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Well, but yeah. So as you were
Well, hey,
just yes, we work very closely with Cambridge for approvals. So no problems there. And Riley Smith
I
is
have
not
not.
too far from me. He's saying he's experiencing these storms too.
Yeah, I have not had any pushback on Feel Good Marketing letters and content at all. And usually I get a very quick response, which is one of the things that I like about it. I don't have to waste time with stuff. And when you're trying to get a hand holding letter out because the markets are crazy, or a hand holding email, getting that quick turnaround time of 4 hours, maybe 24 hours is all worth it gold to be able to respond quickly and support your clients.
100%. And those hand holding letters do a phenomenal job. I know when I was in North Carolina using them, they were amazing. And
Yeah.
so to kind of wrap this up, and again, Mark, thank you so much for your time and the effort you're putting into to still broadcasting despite the storms. Really appreciate everything that you shared. I'm going to put up on screen if for those that have stuck with us and been able to stick with us despite the storms. Here is your link to go in and download your goodie bag, the 12 Best Practices Guidebook. All you have to do is answer a few brief questions. What I would highly encourage that you do is that do ask for that growth analysis, because then one of our coaches will talk you through a lot of the different things that Mark has talked about, other aspects, but really those 5 pillars of our system, and see where can we help best, and what would you need to implement yourself in order to hit the next goals, and what of our services might best apply to you. So again, feel free to drop that in. You can scan the QR code or type into your browser the bgmtips.com formula, and that should get you there. Or in the chat, there is also the link to it. So you should be all set to be able to get that. Again, thank you so much for your time. Mark, stay safe. And thank you for spending the time with us today.
Glad to be here.
All right, everyone. Hope you have a good day.